I thugged it through, and it's on the loudest day in America right now, and it's all good. Hey y'all, what's up? This is my first YouTube video and I'm coming with you with the art, okay? So I am Destiny Clark. I'm a visual artist, designer, illustrator, art director, and beauty stylist. As you can see, a little makeup here. And so I'm coming on here to formally introduce myself. This is my Out of the Box series. The whole thing started off from the show Out of the Box. I'm pretty sure some of you all know, my 90s babies may have seen it growing up, but it was super cute, had a catchy theme song, and it was based off of these kids just creating this playhouse like out of random boxes. And so I love just that whole approach because I identify with it as a designer, that I've been very resourceful with my materials, literally using cardboard, paper, like whatever's in reach to create. And I'm starting with this stuff because I know God is going to expand my territory, but I've just been starting with the stuff that I have, and that's just a huge part of my artistry is resourcefulness. I recycle a lot, I save my hair, I just like to keep it and add it on to projects later. Ooh, that's sun beaming. Ooh. So yeah, this is a 3-part concept series. The first part will be me introducing myself. You'll learn a little bit about me in this video and my whole artistry. And then the second part, I'll be talking about how you can think out of the box conceptually with your mindset. We're gonna tackle that. And in the third part, I'll be sharing some tips and tricks on how you can approach your own design, or if you're just a creative, what types of things, resources that you can use to better your creativity. So yeah. My childhood consisted a lot of being outside, just a lot of playfulness. I love museums, I love animation movies, all of that. And I believe that just consuming all that stuff is kind of what led me here, and you know, just the things that I'm naturally attracted to. And so as a kid, I didn't necessarily refer to myself as an artist, but every time we had art class, that was my favorite class. It was something I always looked forward to doing. And I would just kill it. Like, I feel like art came very easily for me. Just being in art classes, like I always excelled in art classes. And then when it came to like history projects, just basic stuff, I would go out. Like when it came to posters, I'd be spazzing. I all the glitter, you know, little 3D stuff, and just really being intentional with my bubble letters. And I would have kids coming around like, can you draw my bubble letters? And I'm like, yeah, y'all, hold on, let me finish this first. So it all kind of started there. And then fast forward to like Bebo. So Bebo, y'all know, if you know, you know that you could have laid your whole Bebo page out with the music. Soon as you come on your page, scroll down, you have a little audio, little voicemail, and just uploading albums and like decorating your skin, just like, which was pretty much the full layout and the background. And so all of that, I believe, just like kind of nurtured my creativity as a kid, just being like really intentional about how I wanted things to look. And then in 5th grade, my sister brought me my first digital camera. So I would say photography is really how I got into the arts, and I still love photography. A lot of where my work comes from is really me just loving images. Growing up, I drew a lot of inspiration from movies such as Spy Kids 3D, Game Over, Cat in the Hat, Shrek, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, Fat Albert, and like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. See, it's like a reoccurring theme here where it has something to do with like just exploring and like literally creating your own world and just like maximizing color and just having a blast. So then about my senior year, I took photography class, and I also took a painting class. I was 18 when I discovered I knew how to paint. Like, I ain't even know. And so when I did it, like, God just poured it out into me. And I guess, like I remember, it was just always in me. I just never nurtured it or did it. So just being in that class, like doing it, I then went home to create portraits, and I like get the canvases and just paint on them. And I started to sell some like for $40, but at that time it was a lot of money, being in high school. So I would sell some of them, and then I would do my photography, shooting mostly sporting events, stuff around the school. I was really, really serious about photography at the time. And I just love being a creative. All right, so when I got to college, my freshman year, I basically went to school for nothing, because when I got there, it's like I was just lost and I have no idea what I was doing. Wasn't really majoring in anything, and I thought I wanted to do fine art, but when I took that painting class, I wasn't used to the oil paint. I was used to acrylic, and I hated the class because my back would be hurting. I had to go there. Literally, I would walk there at like 2 o'clock in the morning just to try to finish work, and they had like, the building accessible and stuff. But I just hated it because it took too long. I'm like, this is not acrylic. What happened? So I really started to despise art after that. And fast forward, I moved back to St. Louis, really not sure what I was going to do. And again, took another photography class, went to a community college. And after that, like, I think a couple months later, as I would just explore the school, taking pictures throughout the school, I came upon graphic design posters. And I didn't really know what graphic design was. Like, I knew my brother was taking it at school, but I still didn't have just an idea fully of what it meant. I didn't even know there was a career growing up. And so I spoke with a counselor, and I'm like, what do you think I should do? And she gave me these 3 options. She gave me fine art, animation, and what was called graphic communications. She said, these 3 are all good, but graphic communications is where the bread at, basically. I'm like, okay, and in graphic communications, I was able to do fine art, graphic design, photography, and just like, I think that's basically it. Like, those are like the main components, in typography. And so I'm like, okay, I'll go for it. And when I started taking those classes, I fell in love. I'm like, this is what I've been supposed to do. Like, the fact that I always loved designing posters, and I designed my first project poster, didn't even know the program like that. That would came out fire. It came out fire. So like I was saying, that would came out fire. And it just kept me encouraged to, just stay within the program. And so I did, and I felt like I finally landed on something I enjoy and I can make money off of it. Like, come on now. So it was an answered prayer. And then in 2018, I started modeling, and it was something I always wanted to do. I always wanted to be a model since I was a kid, watching America's Next Top Model, like, I'm going to be the next America's Next Top Model. Like, I was so serious about it. And so then I did my first few fashion shows, connected with some local photographers, and that's when I was really able to just get a feel for what I wanted to do. I thought that I wanted to go into full-time modeling, and God redirected my course. And so what I learned during that time was that modeling was just another stepping stone into the full picture. When I got into modeling, I was able to learn posing, just stretching, what things looked well, composition-wise, styling, connecting with local fashion stylists and wardrobe designers, all that good stuff. And so I kind of stopped modeling like around 2019. I modeled for like a year or two, and I was just not feeling it because I was getting frustrated with them not wanting to pay models, at least what I was into. Here locally, they want to pay the photographer, the designer, charge people tickets, but they didn't want to pay the models, and I didn't feel like just getting pictures back was enough. And I started to realize my worth, and I'm like, I'm gonna go make my own themes. And so I did. I started connecting with more photographers, and just start doing my makeup. And that's really how that led me into makeup. So when I started I just basically started experimenting on myself, doing different looks, coming up with different concepts and things that I could model, because I didn't necessarily want to wait on a publication. Like, a lot of us were thirsty. I won't say thirsty. A lot of us were hungry to get out here, to connect. But I was just frustrated, and I knew there was more in store for me beyond just doing this stuff in St. Louis. And so that opened the door to me going into makeup. And so I would do models makeup at fashion shows and do it for things like photo shoots or events and stuff like that. And at the time, I didn't really consider myself a makeup artist, but I knew it was something that I was good at. Mind you, I have been doing makeup since like high school. I started with my eyebrows and transitioned into foundation. For real, had my first client like back in 2015. And so it just was another time for me to operate in that gift. And when I did that, I would say that really is what kind of launched me into entrepreneurship, like officially, because I was getting paid for my skills. And so as I was doing makeup, I was slightly doing it, just people I knew, wasn't really trying to put it out there. One day I did my faux locks and I posted it on Snapchat, and I was like, is somebody gonna want these? Like, would y'all wear these if I, installed them or whatever? And so I actually got two people like, yeah, I want some. I charged $80 for my first client, and it took me like 8 hours to do it, tripping. And so fast forward, the faux lock, the girlies were rolling in, like they was just pouring in, and I just could not believe it. And that's when I made an Instagram specifically for beauty, and I would share all the faux locks I was doing, shared a couple makeup looks. I shared a look that I did for New York Fashion Week with some like dramatic line, and that was really all I had under my belt. And I still was going to school for graphic design while all of this was happening. And so January 2020, a few months before the pandemic, I resigned from Howdy. And so I was already barely working there. Like, I would literally work from like 6 a.m. to 9 a.m., 3 hours, and go home. Or I go to school. And they was like, you don't have to work here. I'm like, okay. I was just trying to keep it, because I didn't really want to. Oh my God. So I was just trying to be safe and keep my job. I didn't really want to go on a leap of faith at the time, but hey, I was barely working there, and I was making some good money doing faux locks. And so that's when I resigned, 2020. And then I connected with a photographer, and that's when I got experience with more editorial makeup on other clients outside of, like, I was kind of sparsely doing it, just like testing stuff here and there. But this was really when I started to see my creative director capabilities. So I would just notice things like composition, just areas that I added value. And I was like, I really love doing makeup, but and no shade to anybody who's been my past client, but it's been times I'm like, dang, this would have looked better if this was added. You had this color, and like we had this shape. And so I just remember even like thinking of how can we make this look untraditional. Mind you, I didn't really know about the photography industry. I didn't really know about set design. I was just doing stuff and just really didn't know if it was a thing. I was just still trying to like test stuff. And so I had my first experience like switching up the backdrop from a basic backdrop and that kind of stuff. And so all these things started to show me that I really want to lay out full concepts. Like, I really want to conceptualize from start to finish, style you, do your hair, your makeup, your backdrop, like, and literally I had all these things that I had been practicing just growing up and just from experience. And it was like back to back that I was like reaching milestones and like, design, beauty, painting, like all these things just literally work together for my good. And it just all just came into a full picture of me being able to create these worlds. And that's pretty much how I got into entrepreneurship. So I was a student while being an entrepreneur. Same thing, like fast forward in 2021, I was still doing graphic design. That's when I graduated, but I didn't really have graphic design clients. I didn't necessarily have design clients. I would have beauty clients, but 2021 is when I really started to see more design pour in, because I started to showcase my creations on social media, and I would hide from it. You know, I didn't really want to share everything. Like, I wasn't really confident sometimes, but I had really spent some time with God, and he really just poured into me. There was a period I was so depressed. I was so depressed in about 2019, and I just prayed and I decreed and I declared, I said, this is my last year being depressed. It would interfere with my schoolwork, interfere with my socialization, my creativity, and I just felt this darkness and this block, and I knew that wasn't God's plan for me. I had been a believer since about 14, like for real, but wasn't really fully obedient. Like, I still straddled the fence with God. I believed that he was good, I believed that he existed, but I didn't really have a stable relationship with him. And he literally just started transforming me, like literally taking me from glory to glory, showing me his goodness, just showing me how much I needed him. And in that, I just started to see like full pictures. I started to see like beyond this little thing that I was focused on. Like, depression have you like just here and like completely drowned and just clouded, like stagnant. It's like you moving in quicksand sometimes. You just sinking. And I'm like, no, that ain't my portion. That's not for me. So he snatched me up out of there. And one day I was praying. I'm like, Lord, what am I good at? And he was just interrupting me right in that time. It was like, I didn't bless you with drawing, painting, modeling, creativity, like literally all these different things that I'm doing now. Like, he laid it all out for me. And so I'm grateful for that moment. Like, I feel like that was literally just like a whole transition in my career too, is when I got to that point and started to defeat these things mentally, started to overcome them with his word and with prayer, and realizing that I had more power than I thought I did, and that I didn't have to succumb to any of that. So yeah, that's really why I'm as free as I am. Like, I truly do have joy in everything that I do. I don't take it for granted. I love the Lord. I love his creativity. Like, I love just exploring and soaking in his goodness and just the art he created all around us. So yeah, I'm so glad to have finally done this. Like, I've known I'm supposed to be on YouTube literally since I was a kid. So it's just about that time. God does everything in his time, and he makes everything beautiful in his time. So I'm happy that I thugged it through, and it's on the loudest day in America right now. And it's all good, because, you know, it felt like a little crowd, a little cheer on. So this was a wrap to my introduction. If there's anything you guys want to specifically see, please let me know. I will be using this platform to showcase my design process. There will be some vlogs, some words of encouragement, and some testimonies, of course, because God has done it for you, girl. And so I'm just really happy to share all those things. And yeah, mostly, and then I'll add on some educational things too. I know that there are a lot of creatives that follow me, so I definitely want to share some resources and share how to maximize your creativity with things that I've done and implemented so far. And so look out for those things, guys. And I'm just happy to be here. God bless y'all. Stay tuned. Bye.